The one question I'm going to be answering is, you mentioned in one of your recent shows that a lot of children nowadays miss the window of opportunity to develop properly and reach the mental planes. Can you elaborate on what as a parent I can do in order to ensure proper development, or perhaps where to look for answers? Well, this is a repeat of Humanity Unplugged, of human development, birth, life and death, and what it entails. A human being's development is at its most critical point between the ages of 0 to 6. This is where the full development of the neurons required to obtain intelligence later in life is formed. Many types of information needs to be absorbed before the ages of 4 to 6, and a failure to do so will result in the neurons failing to fully develop etheric bodies. For those of you who are new to it, you've got the physical plane, which is what you're on now. You've got the etheric connection, then the astral connection, which is kind of been branched into two, heaven and hell. It's the real heaven and hell. Both are traps. And then the 4 mental planes. Now, a brain without a fully developed etheric body cannot develop any further on the evolutionary path. This is your soul development, as it will not be able to obtain the astral level and beyond. So this is why it's so important that you work with your children between 0 and 6. Only the full development of the etheric body can expand the space and open up a qualitative barrier, i.e. a portal, between the etheric and the astral. When a failure in the development of a child to create an astral body, the body will still function as a normal organism, but will show little or no signs of intelligent thinking or actions in its life, as it cannot progress to the mental bodies. A human being is not born with intelligence, but only with the right stimulus does it have the potential to become so. Now, the development of the etheric is done before 6. The astral development level must be completed by ages 14 to 18 years of age. If not, the spirit is unable to progress to a level above what it had when it joined the fertilized ovum. But if astral level is completed, then the development of the first mental body begins and is completed around the age 30 to 33. This is why so many of the youth have so many nightmare dreams. It's the lower astral. The key is to get out of the astral. Once you go onto the mental planes, the night battles in your so-called dream time diminishes. Now, at 30 to 33, if you developed the first mental body, at this point some will remember past life and awareness of the spirit. If done successfully, the etheric, astral and first mental plane bodies combine and work in harmony, and can then facilitate a rapid growth after that to the other 3 mental bodies, providing you are pure of and generous open heart. Big key. This is why they blocked off the vessel itself at the solar plexus. We covered this last week. Don't be going with the gut. That's the 3rd stage trap. You go with the heart. That's where you develop quickly on the mental planes. So once you've gone into the 2nd, 3rd and 4th mental planes, you are able to heal the self, able to heal others, able to influence nature and do all kinds of other things that is beyond the imagination to some. or declared not possible by our science community. But those that attain those levels have frequently been used and abused by certain black budget, black and white magic project style groups, super soldiers being the prime example. The vessel itself has an inbuilt safety mechanism like a protected shield called a PSI field, which is made up of 14 billion neurons. When fully developed, it provides the ability to solve all problems the being may encounter, and the purpose of this field becomes more apparent in the astral level environment. The PSI field, while supportive, is also vulnerable to vampiric attack if entities break through the qualitative barrier from the astral through the etheric and into the physical realm. This is where cancer comes from, through that break in the PSI field and a lot of other dis-eases. Now the PSI field is strongest during the day but weaker in the night between the hours of 12 and 4 a.m. And some regions or zones of the barrier have more positive aspects, but some are negative zones that make access for those entities to manifest. It all depends on the strength or the weakness of the barriers aligned with the particular areas. This is why we speak of doing shielding. It reinforces the PSI field. It heals the zones that have been damaged, either by injuries or by alcohol abuse or by drug abuse, psychedelic or otherwise. All psychedelic drugs, including pot, create holes in your PSI field which allows entities to enter. Alcohol similar. That's why they call the liqueur alcohol spirits. You are allowing the spirit world to enter. This is one of the reasons why people have poor sleep patterns, frequent illness, and a higher percentage of deaths as the vampiric entities attack the weak barriers more and cause more damage to the organisms contained in the weak zone. It is possible for all species on a planet to combine their collective PSI fields, whereby then it becomes a monitoring mechanism that regulates the balance between the population and also the ecosystem. This is, in essence, of the meaning of living in harmony with the all. A working example of that is ants. They all work together. Now, at the moment of death, the PSI field of an organism is destroyed. The flow of primary matter out erupts and opens up a number of qualitative barriers of the various levels of the planet. An energetic channel then opens up and the spirit of the organism returns to the level equal to the level it has obtained during its personal evolutionary cycle. So an astral level being will then reside in the astral layer of the planet. Now, most humans will go to the lower astral. Only higher attainment beings will reside in the higher astral and above. Now, it's over time, it is said very few humans attain the level to reach the mental planes. This is deliberate. Now, our cells each have roles to play in our evolutionary cycle. Bone, cartilage and sexual cells only have etheric bodies. Connective and adipose tissues known as body fat have etheric and lower astral bodies. Muscle tissue have complete etheric and astral bodies, and blood and nerve cells have etheric, full astral, heaven and hell, and the first mental body. Nerve tissue cells from the brain and the spinal cord have etheric, full astral, and the first mental bodies. Now, the evolutionary aspect of human species here was proceeding well with Neanderthal man, but the next evolutionary development was not from here, but came from outside of this planet, and Homo sapiens were that being. We're not from here. Now, initially we struggled to oust the previous more natural evolutionary species, as they were better adapted, more numerous, and a lot stronger than we were, and so outside help came in and removed the Neanderthals. Birth. What happens at birth? The stages of a birth will surprise many. You think from the egg there is a direct human. Well, here's what actually takes place during a pregnancy. When a mother is about to conceive, an energetic eruption occurs that matches the energy connection of the organism. A channel opens up through a number of barriers between the planetary spheres, and the channel then pulls in a spirit that is genetically consonant with that species. A rapid growth of cells reaches a point when an etheric body of a fish that once harmonized the fish begins to develop in the human biomass. So for the first month, it's a fish. Now the embryonic growth occurs quicker in a human than a fish, and in the second month the fish is replaced with an etheric body of a higher rate of growth. This is an amphibian. The human and the amphibian cells then co-join, and the waste cells of the fish enter the placenta as a byproduct, and it is at this stage that miscarriage is at its optimal point. If during the latter stages of birth, 5 months onwards, a miscarriage occurs, the spirit does not have an energy channel to return to its original evolutionary level, and subsequently has to drop down to a lower level of spiritual development, and is at the mercy of the astral animals, with the possibility of a potential consumption of the said spirit, which would end that spirit permanently. In the 3rd month, the amphibian is replaced by a reptile. Rest assured, this is not a Draco type being, or like the baby that was delivered in the original V series, but growth continues at a pace now until the 4th month, when the reptile is replaced by a mammal. It is in the 5th month when a human spirit form enters for the first time. And during the 6th month, the tail falls off and the embryo takes on the human etheric body until birth. What happens to spirits of extinct beings, of which there have been thousands on this planet? Well, because there is no host to create the channel with which to enter, those spirits attain sustenance in any way they can keep going on their relevant plane of existence. Now, sometimes they can adapt to other levels of existence, and these are known as astral animals, but the majority become loosh farmers we hear of on the physical plane, feeding off our energy to keep going. Perhaps we have a lesson to learn here, as extincting species at the rate we are doing is creating more and more loosh beings, or energetic vampires for their correct term, or perhaps this has been done deliberately to keep the harvest going. All hail Ra and all that. That's exactly what that was. It's a harvesting program. Now, much of the astral planes has been cleared to my knowledge, and so extincting species here then partially refills that void. But once an individual on a spiritual level, development level, rises beyond the astral level into the mental bodies, then the development rises exponentially. Mental power will always transcend brute power. That's why they don't want people on the mental planes, just trapped where they're like batteries to the astral animals. As the mental bodies increase, the power of thought, i.e. manifestation, increases with it. This type of power is not only endowed in the spirit body that has developed innocent thought, pure soul, and a generous, open heart. So if you want those capabilities, they're the three things: innocent thought, pure soul, and a generous, open heart. Those of evil intentions and power are unable to gain through their own evolution. They can't achieve it. And so subsequently they drag others down to their level. And this is largely what has taken place here and the descent of man. Evil and its power is an illusion that is given to it by the majority of people due to their lack of awareness of the other levels of reality. So what happens when somebody kills someone? Well, there are consequences for both. The killing of another person who hasn't completed their evolutionary cycle, in other words, gone through the 7 planes, the victim moves to the next level down of the evolutionary cycle. The killer has to generate a large amount of rage with which to kill another person. What happens here is a flood of negative energy pulses through the physical, etheric and astral layers. That's where it stops. It floods the astral level and transforms it with dire consequences for the killer. The negative emotions only feed the lower astral level. And if that person has obtained the full astral, that channel is cut and unable to develop any further. The killer is then stuck in the lower astral level. And the astral body goes into extremes. Upon the killer's death, he will only be able to go to the lower astral level, where the extinct beings like dinosaurs, predators and parasites reside. I think this is known as karmic law. Death. When a human, plant or animal dies, it loses its physical body. Within 3 minutes of death, the PSI field breaks down and a channel is created for the spirit to go to its appropriate level of learning. So if it's on the first mental plane, it will reside in the first mental plane. If it's gone through the 7 layers, it then goes into the next level, which is cosmic evolutionary level, and will not be coming back to 3D. It cannot jump levels, but there are circumstances when it can go down levels. For example, if the spirit wants to manifest to the physical level, but this comes at a great cost to the spirit, as it must surrender some of its potential. This type of scenario has been played out many times here, but more so now than before, as I understand it. Spirits of very high value and learning have compressed themselves at this time to come in and fix the AI and matrix system and other issues from within. It could only be done from within due to the nature of the tech that was used here. Now imagine for 1 minute being amongst the stars in non-form and planets, creating and moving them with thought to coming into these limited toys we call bodies. It's quite a sacrifice to those souls who undertook that task. Even more so when the energy signature is detected, as that leads to a targeted of said individuals or being taken hostage and used for nefarious purposes. Hello, the Vatican. Hello, Langley, to name but 2. After death, and the spirit ascends to its designated level, but the cord remains to the physical body until the dying off of neural tissue leads to a disconnect of the mental body of the being after 9 days. Following further decay, the cord disconnects from the astral level after 40 days, and after 1 year, when all the marrow of the bone is gone, the final chord, the etheric, is released, and all that remains is the physical vessel. It is at this point that the spirit no longer has any connection to the body. 1 year. The spirit disconnection process can be sped up by cremation, as all the tissue and marrow can be removed quicker to disconnect the cords. If a person dies in a violent death, the spirit goes down one level as it's not completed its evolutionary cycle. If a person commits suicide, the spirit will only be able to reside in the etheric level. From there, it's left open to predators, which, if consumed by them, means an end to that spirit. So the child's development is of ultra importance between the ages of 0 to 6. We need to spend more time with them, teach them how to read, draw, write, and basic arithmetic. Read to them, challenge them, play with them, engage them. That way you set them on their own soul journey path. That is your role as a parent. And I don't care how busy you are, you have to make the time. It is important for their future and also the future of our species. For too long, we've been trapped in the solar plexus and blocked from the heart, trapped in the lower astrals and blocked from the mental planes. This is why there's so much savagery around the world. It's dog eat dog. The astral entities consume you and you consume everybody else. But from the mental planes upwards, the idea of killing somebody else vanishes. Your mindset changes. You can defend from the mental planes, but you can't attack. But if you're in balance from the heart and not ruled by anger and fear, then which people who operate from the heart wants to kill somebody else? They don't, because they're not unbalanced. So we have to work hard, a lot harder than we have over the last 2 generations with the children, particularly from birth. Play classical music while it's in the womb. It's soothing. And engage them a lot more.